This is a 25-year-old lady diagnosed with about 11 years back with chronic phase chronic myeloid leukemia. She was on imatinib 400 milligrams daily, and she stopped imatinib for 4 months for her first pregnancy. And we did a BCR-ABL. It was 7.179. So we restarted the imatinib. Patient defaulted and very soon had her second pregnancy, unfortunately. Must be family pressure, must be pressure from the in-laws as well. My best guess is that the in-laws did not know that she had a CML, except the husband. Nobody knew that she had a CML. Her parents knew she had a CML. So, that's about 2 years later, she came back, and as we expected, the BCR-ABL was right there at the top, 97.74%. She was lactating at that time, feeding the second child. So we advised her to stop lactation and restarted her on imatinib. She had irregular follow-up, most likely because she had 2 children to look after, and nobody willing to bring her to the hospital, as simple as that. So in 2018, in earnest, we requested her to restart the treatment and stick to the dose. And we realized in 2019 that she had lost even her hematological response, and the BCR-ABL was 24.3%. And this time we did a kinase domain mutation, and it is T315I mutation positive. And she could not afford ponatinib, and so she was started on hydroxyurea. Patient took the drug but defaulted for 1 year. And once again, we could counsel her and get her to start ponatinib in February 2021. And we increased the dose to 45 milligrams because of increasing splenomegaly. So here is a patient who had 2 pregnancies in succession soon after diagnosis of CML, and had interruption in spite of repeated counseling, interruption of her lactation, etc. But unfortunately developed a T315I mutation, as Dr. Hemant has rightly said. Any type of interruption, intentional or unintentional, doesn't seem to benefit the patient. And we just require these 3 questions: how to manage this case for further, would you advise a transplant, and if there is no response to 45 milligrams of ponatinib, what's the best option next?
So I think the increasing splenomegaly after the ponatinib 30 milligrams is started is very concerning, and I would be worried that the patient had progressive disease at that point, was possibly on the point of what would have been accelerated phase in the old definition. So I would be very concerned. I would be wanting to do a full disease reevaluation. I think for this patient, in terms of their next treatment option, if you are able to obtain asciminib through the compassionate use program, that would be an option. I definitely think you need to be considering bone marrow transplantation, but it sounds like this is in the context of someone who is concealing their CML from the majority of their family. So they may not agree to proceed to transplant because they don't want to disclose their diagnosis, which then makes it it's an impossible situation, really.
Charlie?
I think we will need at some point of time to convince the couple to bring in parents of both the sides to discuss her case in case we are going ahead with the transplant.
Charlie?
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I agree with those comments. I guess what I would add is it just pains me to hear this business of I can't afford a pill. I mean, you're talking about a stupid little white pill, and patients will either suffer or die because they don't have access to this little white pill because of cost. And there's something really wrong with that. And I'm not just talking about India, I'm talking about the EU and in particular the United States as well.
I just have a comment to make about the non-affordability part. It is not as if the second, third, and the further generations of imatinibs cannot be manufactured in India for pittance. No, we can't do that. In fact, we already have many stockpiles of many drugs ready to be launched once the patent is off. It's simply because of patent. You might be surprised to know that imatinib was launched at the same time as Gleevec in India. So it is important to understand, despite a long drawn court battle, the generic version of imatinib could be launched in India. That is what is included in the government programs across the country. So we can actually do it, but it is the patent law which restricts us from doing it. So if we pressurize the government and the manufacturers in India, yes, they can take our case further and file for a leniency in the patent. And most of the manufacturers, as I can see, are willing to pay a royalty to the innovator. So like was done in many drugs from India. Cancer drugs from India. So that is true. So most of the chemical nature drugs can be manufactured in India in about a month or two's time, nothing more than that.